We submit those numbers first, you guys can do anything. They will not go over their 50% of over 478.
Okay, so they're not going over 50% of the 478, so anything over 478 is not an eligible expense, right?
Is not a reimbursable expense.
So it's not eligible.
No.
Okay, it's not eligible for 50% of the reimbursement.
Correct.
Okay, so that means we're 13,000 over, right? That we're not gonna get reimbursed for.
Correct.
Why is Charlie up there alone getting grilled? Isn't he just
Well,
a co-chairman? Where's the other co-chairman?
I'm just trying to figure out where we're at.
Well, Mayor, I don't need to entertain
Yes.
her, but
Her?
I do believe I was here 2 meetings ago and I went through everything pretty clear then, and yet no one bothered asking me then. I had all the figures then, why wasn't those questions asked? But I'll be glad to meet with any of you and go through this one-on-one.
Well, that's what, I mean, I
think he's answering the question correctly. It's all an eligible expense. The question is whether or not you're gonna get reimbursed.
Yes.
No, you're only gonna get reimbursed for what the grant is wrote for. If it's wrote for 468, you get only half of that reimbursed. You can spend $1 million.
Yeah.
You're only gonna be reimbursed for 235.
Yeah,
So to answer Mr. Allison's question, it would be 100% over that 468. Everything above that. Now, what Charlie's referring to, the 15,000, there was a grant wrote in between the 2 grants. It was some electrical work bringing the power from Route 3 back to the pedestal. The council voted on that to be done. Chester Electric was hired to get it done. They did not get a chance to get it done. We rescinded that contract. We added that into this grant while all-purpose directors came down to do the electrical work. We had them go ahead and do, which the council approved, which would be considered an eligible expense. If you're asking why we are over, that 15,000 roughly dollars should not have been in there, but we can add it in there. We want to keep that in there, but just in case the state of Illinois would come back and say, well, that rock on the soccer field, that wasn't part of it, even though the council voted it in, that's going to be kicked out. What we don't want to happen is a bunch of bills be kicked out, and then now we're going to get back our full $235,000. Does that make sense?
That 15,000 was a grant, you said?
No. It was
between grants.
That was just-
between the
That
grants
was just between
to get the power from Route 3 to pedestal. And the council voted that in to get it back here. All Purpose came in under what Chester Electric was going to originally do it for, and they added all into the whole, bringing the power back and building the power unit out there to feed the lights.
Setting transformers, working on fire setting transformers, connecting transformers, and set down.
What my problem is on this is that the council was not informed that we had already gone over budget by such a large amount. I think it's a large amount, 11,000, 30,000 is a large amount to me. Before coming and asking for approval for more.
I believe every expense has been voted by the council.
Pardon?
I believe every expense has been voted by.
That's right. But
So if you know what you're voting on, you should be on the
Were
council.
we informed it was over? That's what I'm talking about right now.
Sorry, if you know what you're voting on, you should be on.
That's why I'm talking about it right now.
Okay.
Okay, I have
Sir.
a question. $15,000, was that, okay, the city donated it to them, or was it talked about when
No.
for the electrical work? If I've got my wires crossed, please correct me. Was that money supposed to come back to the city once the second grant was brought into the process?
I'm not sure what your question is. I don't understand your question.
Okay, the $15,000 that the city gave for the electrical work.
Didn't give anything. They hired a contractor to do the electrical.
Okay, they hired them, this is what it cost.
Yeah.
Now, play on words, whatever. Was that money supposed to, when we got the second part of the grant, was the city supposed to be reimbursed that $15,000? Or they just said,
No.
oh, here we have it, let's just get it?
I still
No,
understand
it was
the
supposed to be done between the 2 grants. It had
Okay, so
nothing
the
to
city
do with any of
The
that.
city funded the $15,000, but was supposed to be reimbursed.
question. No?
No.
It was not.
It was not, it was a
It's
gift.
gift, no, it's not a gift, it was to be paid out of the Cohen money to get the electrical back there. Because it wasn't only for the Cohen, you know, the future site of the soccer field or any kind of expansion going on back there. You
Okay.
had to have enough electricity to do
Well, I
whatever you wanted
understand
back
you're
there.
married to an electrician, I understand all
Yeah,
that.
I'm not an electrician, I just know that the city officials voted it in to get the electrical back there.
Okay, that's, my question was then,
Between the two grants, no grant was involved. We need electricity back there, the city council said we're gonna pay it out of home money. Does that answer your question,
Yes,
Mayor?
that was my question,
Yeah,
thank you.
I think that kind of clears it up a little bit. I mean, I just didn't know where that.
I'm glad we meeting them every time, like I said, I was there 2 meetings ago, and I thought I'd give a pretty good report. Glad. Any questions?
Dan, so we're just gonna table this right now until we can get this all figured out to alleviate all this not knowing and what's going on.
No, there is a committee now over parks and recreation, maybe we can meet with them.
That's fine.
Okay, next we have to discuss and/or act on Cohen soccer field grass information.
At the last meeting, there was a couple of questions raised, and I certainly did not have the answer. And I took time to pull out of the spec book, the selected pages. I don't think you all want to see the whole spec book. And I highlighted some sections in there that I feel may be in question. I visited this morning on the phone with Harold, and we agree that some of these conditions may not have been adequately taken care of by Red Dot.
I pointed out everything you've got circled or highlighted on here, and he said he did everything by what this said. Okay, and what else was brought up was who was the one inspecting?
I was not the inspector.
There wasn't one,
That's correct.
okay? So how does anybody know he didn't do it right? You know what I mean?
Harold, you want to have any input into this? Council?
Well, I mean, from our standpoint, I mean, in an effort to save money, we weren't hired. Normally, we would be inspecting the job on, not necessarily something like this, dirt work, we wouldn't be up there 8 hours a day, but, to be quite honest, we don't know how he did it either. There's no record of the seed mixers that he used.
Now, he was told me that he offered this man right here the seed tags.
Yeah.
But he said, what am I gonna do with them?
I
Is that not right?
I don't remember that conversation.
Was he paid?
Was he paid?
Mhm.
Yes, he was.
He was paid before the job was so-called approved and done wrong. Correct?
Yes.
We are still holding $3,000, and that was held back. I know this became an issue, and this is a little more important than getting grass to grow than it would be, as I mentioned before, if you're doing a water line project or something like that in the field, contractor's gonna go throw seed on it and move on, and that's just what they do. And there's no guarantee that he has to guarantee grass to grow in those circumstances. Now, I realize this is a little bit different, and we would expect grass to be grown on
Well, according to Mr. Schrader, that grass was growing real good this spring with 24 inches of rain we had.
I would hope it would, but,
Well, now it's not,
yeah.
but it was then. And the reason he said he's not no longer doing anything to it because it was not maintained.
Yeah.
And he did it twice. First time he said it didn't work, so he went back and redid it this spring. And it was, according to him, everything's fine. And according to somebody else that paid him, they must have thought it was fine too.
Well, there's
Which
some,
brings back to the issue, we still have a soccer field that looks terrible. And who's blamed? Who's getting blamed for it?
there's an issue of, I'm not exactly sure of any plan. I suppose someone's got to there are, as Charlie got on there are some periods there when he's supposed to be seeding, and if he seeds outside of those areas, he's supposed to produce some sort of document.
To who?
Huh?
To who?
Well, that would normally come back to us.
But you had no inspector
Right.
on the property.
That's right.
Don't we have an RE that goes to these?
This job is a little bit different. I mean, most of your jobs, and in the past, what we've always done, I mean, we've been, we can build in costs on these jobs to be there 8 hours a day, or depending on what kind of job it is. This job, in order to save money, we were informed, not, we did layout on the project, but we did not schedule an RE on this job. And that was a money saving.
Then it was.
Yeah.
Now it's not.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to have to pay to receive this soccer field.
What I would recommend is, I know you talked to Kurt, is just the Parks Recreation Committee, or whoever, wants to meet with Kurt and sit down with you and him and us and, see what we can come up with.
I don't understand what I'm saying. He's done, period.
Yeah.
According to what he told me, he's been paid for what was supposed to be a job that apparently was good enough, he got paid.
Are you holding a retainage?
We are on $3,000
And we
How
did
much is
that few meetings back.
How much is the cost for the seeding?
Well, the bid item was for seed mulching and, I mean, there was, what we felt was an equitable amount. We're going to come back in and see it again if we had.
Just in case.
Yeah.
So is that $3,000, that retainage, is Kurt been paid in full?
No.
So that retainage is due Kurt? Is that what you're saying?
If the council decides to pay that. I mean, that's specifically why it was held back, is because of the issues
And
with.
what's the warranties in the contract regarding the seeding and the grass?
Well, there again, there's no,
Because I haven't seen the contract.
yeah, I mean, there's no ironclad warranty that he has to issue on grass. I mean,
I
normally,
can't see how it would be.
no, normally if you're gonna do that, there would be requirements of watering, having someone there maintaining the area during growing season. And we typically don't do that on a job. We had it in the sewer plant specifications that would be landscaped and the city would pay to maintain that during the growing season, but it was removed also as a cost saving. That was removed by the city. So it's,
What it boils down to is you've got one person's word against the other. Somebody says he didn't do it right, he says he did it right. He had no inspector there, okay? The person that says he did do it right doesn't know if he did it right or not because he's not an engineer.
well, it doesn't necessarily take an engineer to grow grass, but,
Apparently it takes an engineer to figure out why it ain't growing. I'll tell you that much.
Times I went out there, I do realize that the mulching they put down was not installed correctly.
First or second time?
I believe it was the first time.
Okay, he did it the second time. Was it okay then?
I don't know, we weren't up here when it was done.
Are you an engineer?
No, I'm not. May I tell you my observation?
You just said you had no part of it, right? What do you think?
I did observe the second application draw, and it was with a gun. And then he did take the tractor and crimp, is that the right term? So, how he applied the grass, I don't know how he applied the seed. But I did see that they used the straw blower. And they did take the tractor and, once again, crimp, was that the right term? But he did crimp it in the second
So as
time.
far as you know, he did it.
The mulching, I could see, I wasn't there to see the seed.
But the grass grew this spring. Second time, you're talking second time, right?
And that was, yes, I'm referring to the second
And
line.
it was grass.
Kurt Schrader and I met with a punch list on the 23rd
He
of,
told me about that, and he said that
the
he
23rd of June, no, 23rd of May, I'm sorry.
fulfilled that punch list.
And he came back in around the 1st of June to do that.